fundamentally, one of the biggest questions that I do receive around dating, as far as women are concerned, around relationships, is this whole thing about commitment. Okay, so how do I get the guy to commit? How do I get the dude to actually hang around? And of course, as we know, or just to reiterate it for those who don't, the issue that you've got is, on the one hand, men primarily, as we know, tend to be looking for sex, particularly younger men. They're out there, they're looking for sex. They're not necessarily looking for anything serious at that stage. Now, maybe later in life they are, yeah, fine. But they're going to take their time. They're going to pick and choose. The guys who have options, that is to say, which is, of course, the guys that all of you women want, right? Ultimately, you guys, you women, you ladies out there, you're all chasing kind of the same dudes. You know, you're kind of chasing the same small pool of guys. We can get into that more in another episode, but the fact remains. So those guys obviously have the power of choice, and they're not necessarily going to settle down. And particularly when they're younger, they may not want to anyway, because it might not be in their life plan. Okay, so you've got that. And then on the other hand, then you've got women who are deluged as far as yeah, I mean, I'm just reading the comments there. And then these women who are sort of deluged with opportunities and people sliding into the DMs and guys offering to fly her out to Monaco and all of this different stuff. Fine. But of those, A, how many are serious offers? And B, how many of them are going to hang around and actually stick around in the longer term? Okay, so I want to talk today about things that will make a man commit to you as a woman versus things that won't. And in order to do this, I actually asked ChatGPT for its help in terms of suggesting ways in which women can operate so that men will commit to them. Okay, and what we're going to do. So what it's come up with 10 different things, and the advice that it's come up with is pretty boilerplate, kind of standard mainstream dating advice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through this. Okay, this is an advice aimed at women for how to get a guy to commit. Okay, and so the prompt that I did as well, just so you're interested, just if you're interested, I said, so I want you to write 7 to 10 bullet points aimed at young women that you would cover in an article titled "What Makes a Man Commit to a Woman." Please make the points controversial and not what the reader might expect. In other words, please make it a contrarian twist on conventional advice. So what I was trying to do was to get ChatGPT to come up with something outside of the box. And predictably, what's happened is that hasn't happened. It's come out with basically the same old stuff that we always get. So but that's quite useful for our purposes, because what we're going to do now is we're going to go through and we're going to deconstruct each of these points and see whether it actually works in real life as far as getting commitment from a man is concerned. Okay, so number one, and this is what it came up with. Number one is independence is key. It says, contrary to popular belief, men are often drawn to women who prioritize their independence over everything else. Being self-sufficient and having your own life outside the relationship can actually make a man more inclined to commit. Now, I'm going to call BS on that, right? I don't think that is true. And the reason why is because, look, what are the key components that a guy is looking for? Well, a guy is looking, firstly, for a woman who is attractive, okay, who looks great. Let's be honest, we live in a pretty superficial, it's just the way of the world, right? Guys are going to look for women who they think are hot. That's the first thing. But secondly, he wants a woman who he can trust and who he doesn't think is going to mess around behind his back. Okay, so infidelity, obviously absolute no-no. So any signs of potential infidelity, that's going to knock her off the scales immediately. So loyalty, and he wants a woman who's going to help support him in his mission, whatever that might be, and fundamentally not be a pain in the arse. And JBB, good to see you here, Mad, says, to be honest, just be pleasant. Exactly. Just be pleasant. Exactly. I mean, it's not rocket science, but it does seem to be harder and harder for people as we, as the years go on. Little Nicky, good afternoon, Troy. Hope you're well. Good to see you here. Interesting to get your input on this. Little Nicky, obviously a female viewer, regular female viewer, so it'd be interesting to hear your take on some of this stuff. So is it advantageous as a woman to do what you're saying here on ChatGPT, independence? No, not as far as commitment is concerned. I think it's actually more attractive for a man to feel like he is going to be able to take care of this woman, okay? Because remember, what you're looking to do really is to trigger his protective impulses, okay? And men, and particularly men who are high value and have resources, okay, those guys are not bothered about your independence. They're not bothered about you having this exciting external life where you're doing all these cool, crazy things. You may well have that at the beginning, and then you come into his world, and then you become part of, not that you give everything up, but you sort of become more merged, right? You become part of his world. You guys come together, okay? And so, and at that point, when he likes you and when he's into you and he's falling in love with you, then your independence outside of that is not going to make him more inclined to commit. In fact, if anything, it might be the opposite, because it might make him think, well, shit, you know, this girl, she goes to all these activities, she's doing all this stuff, she's got these huge group of friends, I don't really know who she's hanging with, I don't know where she is sometimes. That is not necessarily going to be the thing that's going to make him think, right, this one's a keeper, okay? So again, you've got to make a distinction between right at the beginning and then as you get into the relationship. At the beginning, it probably is good. You know, obviously you've got your own life, you've got stuff going on, fine. But what you want to be doing, and I said to this girl actually last week when we were talking to her live, what you want to be doing is once you've got through the door, as far as the attraction is concerned, you know, you're dating the guy, you're seeing him, whatever, is you want to pretty quickly start to insert yourself into his life and show value within his life, okay? And show how you can be of support to him. So the independence thing, and again, I'm not saying just never do any of your hobbies again, never see any of your friends again. It's not like draconian in that sense, but you've got to remember what's in it for him. Like, how does this independence help him? It doesn't really. If anything, it may concern him more than anything. And that's the other thing as well, because the high value guy, right, who's got stuff going on, he's got business deals happening here and there and everywhere, he hasn't got time or any inclination to be worrying about this independent woman who's running around and doing all this kind of shit, and he doesn't know where she is, and maybe she doesn't call for a while and whatever, right? He hasn't got time for that shit. He wants to know that she's there. He wants to know that she's on his team and they are a unit, okay? So number one is a no-no, I would say. All right, so number two, and this is, by the way, this is from ChatGPT. This is, the prompt was, write a 7 to 10 bullet points for an article called What Makes a Man Commit to a Woman. So we got some pretty standard dating advice from this. Number two is challenge him. Men thrive on challenges. Instead of catering to his every need, challenge him intellectually and emotionally. A woman who keeps him on his toes and pushes him to be better is more likely to aspire to commitment. No. Oh my God. No. Do not be that girl. Do not be that woman. Okay. That is not going to inspire him to greater heights of commitment. That is going to make him think, oh, Jesus Christ, this girl is a pain in the butt. I need to think about getting a replacement. All right. That's the reality. Being challenging, it sounds nice. It sounds cute. And what you notice, what's interesting about ChatGPT, of course, where these pointers came from, is that ChatGPT is quite woke, you know, famously quite woke. So it's not going to come up with anything that's sort of red-pilled in nature. So I'm just trying to give you my more like honest feedback on this. But this is more, and bearing in mind the way ChatGPT operates, obviously it's trawled through the millions and millions of articles and everything at its disposal. So this is going to be pretty typical of the advice that's being given out there. And it's just wrong, right? Men thrive on challenge. Well, yes, they do, but not from the woman that they're intimate with. I mean, you want, challenge in the world for sure. Challenge from your wife? Fuck that. Come on, Jesus. Instead of catering to his every need, no, you should cater to his every need. Again, you know, you want to be, I'm not saying be a serf. I'm not saying be like a servant, but you've got to be there to fucking support him, okay? You should be trying to cater to his every need, or at least as many of his needs as you can. Because otherwise, why would he commit? Why would he keep you around? And again, remember, this is all based on the premise that you women are chasing the high value guys. Okay, so we're not talking about just some brokey here. We're talking about a dude who is of high value. And remember, I've worked with these guys. I meet these guys frequently. These guys are in my friendship group. Okay, so I know what they want. I know what they're looking for. I know what they screen for with women. Okay, and they don't want women who are challenging them the whole bloody time, because that's just annoying and it's a pain in the butt and it's not helping them move forward in terms of the wider issue, which is, okay, love life here, romantic life, very important. But the really important bit is building my empire and making a fucking stand and creating something in the world. And I want a woman who's going to fucking support me in doing that, not just some woman who's going to be challenging me about stupid shit. So once again, this is the kind of bad advice that gets peddled around in the mainstream. And that's why ChatGPT has come up with this point, I think. Challenge him intellectually and emotionally. A woman who keeps him on his toes and pushes him to be better is more likely to inspire commitment. Well, he shouldn't have to be pushed to be better, okay? He should already be on a journey. And once again, if he's a high-value guy, he is pushing himself to be better, okay? Because that is, in my view, part of the essence of high value. It is that you are consistently challenging yourself, consistently pushing yourself to greater heights. He doesn't need you to then do that for him. That's going to feel like unnecessary pressure coming from a place where really what he wants and what he expects is support and nurturing, okay? So you giving him extra pressure, just being a pain in the butt and trying to push him to be better, he should already be doing that. And if he isn't already doing that, then is he really the kind of guy that you want to be with? Okay? Because if you as a woman are looking for a high value man and this guy needs to be prodded and pushed, then that suggests that there's a fucking problem. Okay? So you've also got to think about it from that point of view as well. Is he actually, if you think that if you think that he's falling short the whole time, so you need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing at him, is he actually the kind of dude you want to be with in the first place? Maybe not, right? Maybe you need to look elsewhere, okay? But if he is that high value guy who is working very hard to create his vision, to force his version of the world onto the world itself, and for the world to accept it, and for him to create his own identity and his own, imprint on the planet that we exist on, then he's going to be doing this already, okay? He doesn't need this from you. He doesn't need this from home. So let's have a look at some of the comments here. Little Nikki says, female challenging equals annoying. Yes, absolutely. JDD says, that's the worst thing I ever heard. Ha ha. JBB, can she make my day a little bit easier for me at least? God. And Little Nikki says, treat him like a king, not your equal. I mean, listen, it's good to hear that from you. I mean, obviously as a woman, I mean, it's kind of, I would agree. I would agree. And the problem is, if I say, women, treat your man like a king, then I get strung up for it because it sounds misogynistic and it sounds not in sync with, the status quo and what people want to hear these days. But the truth of the matter is, if you're looking for a guy to commit to you and you are having difficulty with finding these high value men to commit to you, then clearly you're doing something wrong. And once again, if you're not putting him first, and if you're not putting him, not above you as such, but if you're not treating him like a king, as opposed to you're treating him like somebody to challenge and to argue with and to cajole and poke and prod, then it's no wonder you're not getting commitment, because you've got to be bringing some fucking tangible value to this dude's life. Otherwise, why the hell should he fucking want to get locked down with you, right? It's just not in his best interest to do that. Let's see what number 3 is. Put any questions, any comments in the chat. Okay, number 3. This is the third of the ChatGPT suggestions for how to keep a man, basically, how to get him to commit to you. Number 3, embrace imperfections. Forget the idea of being a perfect, in inverted commas, partner. Embrace your flaws and vulnerabilities. Men appreciate authenticity and are more likely to commit to a woman who isn't afraid to show her true self. I mean, again, And this is just a reflection. This is ChatGPT, which is obviously a reflection of the wider culture. Okay. This is the sort of, what kind of imperfections are we talking about for a start? Are we talking about physical imperfections? Are we talking about, I guess we're talking about a panoply of different imperfections, maybe from things like weight or sort of body image through to your quirky, crazy ideas and ways and all this kind of stuff. It's saying to embrace all of that and just effectively to, I guess, force him to like it. I don't know. Forget the idea of being perfect. Embrace your flaws. Men appreciate authenticity. Well, that's true. And are more likely to commit to a woman who isn't afraid to show her true self. Yeah, but the problem is when you're saying embrace imperfections, what you're saying then is effectively, okay, I'm not perfect. I'm not where I want to be, but fuck it. Just accept me as I am anyway. Dear Mr. High Value Man. That's kind of what it's saying, okay, to women. And women should take that kind of advice with a big grain of salt, okay? Because once again, if we're thinking about this archetypal guy who can get any woman, or he's got women queuing up for him, etc., and then the woman is just sitting there going, well, you know, I don't go to the gym, I don't work out, I don't do this, I don't do that, but sod it, you know, just accept me for what I am. Then she's in for a rude awakening, because there's going to be another woman out there who does look after herself. There's going to be another woman out there who does address her imperfections, who is working on herself, both mentally and spiritually and emotionally and physically and in all of these different ways, okay? There is going to be another woman out there who can cook better, okay? There is going to be another woman who is less challenging and argumentative, right? And if you're looking for commitment, then you have to be the best that you can be. And I don't think it's misogynistic or sexist to say this, because men get taught this the whole time. I mean, all of the men's space, right, is about being the best man you can be. All of the men's space is about, right, you've got to do these things so that you get better, so that you are worthy of at least a seat on the table in the dating game, okay? At least you get into the, you can get into the arena and compete, okay? As a man, you've got to do a lot of things in order to level up, and you've got to continue doing those things on a daily, hourly basis, all right? Women, it seems, and I've been looking at quite a lot of advice and content aimed at women recently, and it seems like, not all of it, but a lot of it is very woo-woo, and it's very just like, hey girl, be your best self, accept yourself, love yourself, and the right guy will come along. And that, I'm afraid, is bullshit. Because if you're a man of value and you're a man with options, then you're not just looking for some girl who's, yeah, I'm happy with myself, so fuck it. You're looking for somebody who is leveling up, who is making themselves, who's making herself the best version of herself that she can possibly be, okay? Because why wouldn't he, right? And once again, you know, keep repeating the same thing, but it's so important. You guys are all competing for the same guys, right? You women are all competing for this broadly the same pool of men, which are the men who are in the top 20, top 10, or even top 5 or 2% of the male population. Okay, the guys who look the best, who have the most resources, who are the most driven, who are the most quote unquote alpha, etc., who have the most power, the most status, whatever. Those guys have options, okay? They're not going to put up with somebody who doesn't bother to work on themselves because, hey, I'm good enough already, so sod it, right? It just doesn't work like that. You've got to you've got to understand this stuff. It's just, I don't know. Number 4 is maintain mystery. Okay, ChatGPT advice to women how to get a man to commit. Maintain mystery. While communication is important in any relationship, maintaining an air of mystery can keep a man intrigued and committed. Don't feel the need to share every detail of your life. Leave some things for him to discover over time. Yeah, there's something in that. Okay, and actually, this is something that we, Alfonso Benzo, what made you scam me, Troy? I've got no idea who you are. This is one of those things where we would teach guys this stuff as well, to maintain mystery, okay? To maintain an air of mystery. And I think actually it does apply to women as well at the beginning. I think that women can, when they're in the presence of somebody they really like a guy who it seems really high value, a guy they're like, fuck yes, this is the dude, you know, this is the kind of guy I want to get with. women can sometimes put all of their cards on the table too quickly. Okay. And that in general is not a good thing. Is not a good thing. Okay. You should hold back a little bit. But once more, this is in the early stages of the courtship. Okay. Once you guys, and yes, I guess you can use it as a tool to reel somebody in. Okay, so I would advise, yeah, holding back a little bit. So perhaps a bit of a sense of mystery, but not too much, because once again, what you got to remember, we're talking specifically about commitment here. We're not talking about getting him into bed or getting him into short term, becoming friends with benefits or something. We're talking about actual commitment and being in a serious relationship. And what you women have to remember is that he is going to want to vet you pretty carefully before he's going to commit, okay? Because no high-value guy that I know, that I've ever met, is going to say, yeah, I've met this girl, don't know a lot about her, family life's a bit mysterious, not sure what's happening in the background, but you know what? I'm going to marry her anyway. It doesn't work like that, okay? At some point, you're going to have to open yourself up to some scrutiny, okay? Because once more, he's got the options, okay? He's holding the cards. So you can do the mystery act at the beginning as part of the sort of seductive dance. That's great. But once you guys are together and you've got a foot in the door and a seat at the table, you need to drop the mystery, really, and you need to let him in, and you need to let him see who you are, because the best chance that you're going to have of him committing to you is he's going to make a rational decision. Remember, men are very rational creatures, okay? They're not operating on emotion in quite the same way as women are, right? It's a different paradigm. So you've got to look at it and think, well, why is he going to commit to me? He's going to commit to me when he knows who I am, and he knows he can trust me, and he knows that what I'm bringing to the table is genuine and authentic and honest and nurturing and all of those good things, okay? If you're trying to keep this shroud of mystery over you, that could actually operate against you, because then he's going to be thinking, well, there's something about this woman, I like her, but I just can't put my finger on her. I don't know if I can trust her. And believe me, when you're talking about super high net worth individuals, okay, say super elite guys, they are not going to they're not going to lock down with some woman that they don't really know very much about, or that they feel there's some sense of mystery around her. It's just not going to happen, man. You've got to be realistic, okay? So do the mystery thing at the beginning if you want, as a kind of flirtation, seductive tool. As you get into a relationship, you've got to drop it, and you've got to start to open up to him and show him where you really are, and be honest with him. Be honest with him about if you've got debt, you're going to have to tell him, right? You've got to be honest with him where you are in your life, and then he's got to make a decision. Okay, am I going to take this on? So debt is something that gets talked about sometimes on these podcasts, right? So what if she's in, 100 grand's worth of debt? Is a high value man going to take her on? Well, he might do if the other qualities that you have are sufficient, and he thinks, well, you know what, she's okay, whatever, she's built up some student debt, we can handle it, no problem. He might take you on that basis, but he's certainly not going to be happy if you conceal it, okay? And then it comes out after the fact, particularly after he's put a ring on it or whatever. So just be careful of that, and just try and be honest about yourself, and just because like at the end of the day, he's going to make a rational decision, all right? And the more that he knows about you, the more able he is to make that decision.